I'd like to talk to you about a subject, and it's race and other differences and power and privilege. And what I want to know is, being a white man, from where you've had your people came from and landed on Plymouth Rock,
Right.
how do you handle power and privilege?
Well, it's a great question. In a lot of ways, it informs my life. Initially, stuff about power and privilege threw me for a loop. And that was because the idea that this happened, that I had this in me and these benefits, was something that initially scared me. I thought, and in fact, in talking with a lot of white, in particular white men, initially the word privilege really threw me the most. Because I thought life was hard enough when I had to learn skills, when I had to do things like, damn, this is hard enough. What do you mean I've got a benefit from being a white guy? And, but then I had a story that happened to me that helped clarify it, which was when I went to school, coming from a very advantaged background socially, but not economically, I went to a high school that wasn't that good. So when I got to college, my vocabulary was really kind of limited. And and my grammar wasn't particularly good. And I remember a friend laughed and said, you know, that guy didn't even understand what the word can't meant. And I remember getting terrified because the only thing I knew that can't could mean was, it was a short word for cannot, cannot. It was not a word that meant something else about jargon and about just giving back stupid phrases that people had in their heads. I didn't know what the word meant, a little four-letter word. I had to go and learn those words, and that was hard. And then I had a black friend who let me know that when he was at school, not only did he get asked questions about words he didn't know, but people would say to him, well, you know, it's important for you to learn this because your people need you. And
wow,
the burden that he carried when he went in to learn grammar, and when he went in to learn those words, there was an added weight that I, as a white guy, never had to have. And it dawned on me, and frankly it made me sick to my stomach, as I realized, wow, it's hard enough to learn grammar. It's hard enough and it's embarrassing enough to have to learn vocabulary that you didn't know. But then when you find out, as a white guy, that other people are carrying something that's an added weight that gets in the way of that learning, I finally understood what privilege meant. So, and the privilege of being a white man, what that really meant, that it gave me certain choices of things where I didn't have to think about things that people of color and gay and lesbian, LGBT people have to think about all the time, which is I can just go into a place. I can just perform. I'm as good as I am or not good as I am on my skill level. So what that meant was, frankly, Liz, it's been a journey. Initially, one, I started with this idea of it didn't exist. Power and privilege didn't exist. Then when I realized it existed, I was overwhelmed with guilt. And then I got angry. And the anger was, well, you know, we can't do that, we can't create it. And I lived within both this guilt thing, oh, here I have a white man, how can I do this, or have it? Well, and then anger, how dare the world not make it fair for everyone else and walk around being angry at white people who didn't get it. And neither worked. And then one day, you know, not just one day, but in this journey, in this work, it became clear that what I had to do was acknowledge, yes, I'm going to have power and privilege all my life as a white man that other people aren't going to have. It's what do I do with it? And that instead of power and privilege being used to marginalize people or to deny your reality as a woman of color or a man of color's reality, that instead of denying it, affirming that reality and us working together where we recreate what power and privilege can mean together in relationship. And that's part of what it means for our America that I want to create.